Yo, hola, what's poppin', everybody? My name is Dylan Cartlidge. If you don't know me, I'm an alternative hip hop act. I am from little town in the northeast of England called Redcar. I make, like I said, I make alternative hip hop music. I'm a rapper, but I play a little bit of bass, a little bit of singing, a little bit of keys, and I as somebody who is just about to come and release my debut album. It's called Hope Above Adversity. It's why I'm going to be here with you today, going through track by track of the whole album and talking to you about what it means to me in this process and a little bit more about who I am. So thank you very much for having me.
Esto es Cuéntame un disco. Un disco completo, de la A a la B. Toda la historia, canción por canción, de principio a fin. Cuéntame un disco.
This first track, the very first track on the album, is a track called Dare to Dream. It's the oldest, I think it's the oldest track on the album. So it was one of the first songs that I ever wrote, really, when I, came to be a full-time musician. I came to be an artist full-time. I was working in a bar before that. I worked in a call center for a while as well, answering the phones for a bank. And I wasn't quite sure I was going to be able to do it full-time, if I was going to be able to, pursue my dreams. And I got an opportunity to go and record in some big fancy studios in London with some writers. And Dare to Dream, it was one of the first songs that I did. It was one of the first songs I'd ever co-written or, been in a studio with a different person or a different writer and kind of opened up and began to write music with someone, which was quite an exposing thing at the time. It was quite, it was something that made me feel a little bit vulnerable, a little bit anxious. But yeah, it was really, the song for me, was an extension of those feelings. The song really is a little bit of a call to arms for anybody who has a dream or anybody who, is kind of sat there at work or when they get home in their free time, drawing characters for books, writing, novels, stories, comics, making music, really the creator, the daydreamer, the person that most people tell, you need to get a real job. You don't need to waste your time with this. Somebody who's just always, dreaming of doing something, but never, feeling like they quite can do it or feel scared to do it. This is a message to really go out there and give it a go. Because even if you enjoy or, you're really passionate about or you've got a talent for, the worst thing I can think of is to not pursue it. I feel like even if you did pursue it and things don't work out or things don't go the way you planned, at least you're never going to look back on your life or look back on that period of your life or that journey you went on and say, well, at least I didn't give it my all, or, at least I know I tried. It wasn't a what if, I kind of feel like a scary thing can be to leave, leave things on a what if basis and not finding out, something that you really is passionate or close to you. And yeah, that's Dare to Dream. And that's really the opener on the album.
Dare to dream. Dare to dream. Dream I dream, dare I dream. Things ain't always the way they seem. Dare I dream, dare I dream. Who knows what tomorrow brings? Always fun to say words that somehow just find a way inside my mind on kinds of days when I couldn't compete to find my place. In the midst of eternal war, guts and glory is all they wore. Hidden from so much that I'd adore, just to worry about which path should I run for. Oh Lord, it ain't like you to dream small. One night down on the road, show me something I like. Say, oh Lord, it ain't like you to dream small. Give me something to go for, story of my life. Not willing to spend more I own, looking into life's shop window, wondering one day what I might buy, only if I had the time. Prepare to catch me, cause here I go, heading into the great unknown. And if I don't quite meet the line, know the world is yours, the world is mine. Oh Lord, it ain't like you to dream small. One night down find my way, hoping that I see the day. Oh, I'ma fight until I see the light, bold and free and holding me in tune and shining bright. Fix a move, but which will you choose? Been working like it's all we do. Oh Lord, it ain't like you to dream small. One eye down on the brochure, show me something I like. Say, oh Lord, it ain't like you to dream small. Give me something to go for, story of my life. Oh, dream I dream, I dream, things ain't always the way they say. Dad dream, who knows what tomorrow brings. Dream I dream, dad dream, things ain't always the way they say. Dad dream, who knows what tomorrow brings. Dream I dream, dad dream, things ain't always the way they say. Dad dream, who knows what tomorrow brings.
Hey everybody, you're listening to Quantum and Disco, and this next song is Anything Could Happen. This song was probably, weirdly, after Dare to Dream was the oldest track. This is probably the newest track on the album. It was a track that was written towards the very back end of the process, and this song is really important for me, you know, and really important to this record and this album, and really this journey that I've been on so far, because this song is the kind of like another watershed moment for this album, really. You know, I had a lot of older demos that I'd written, and I wasn't quite sure what to do with them, you know, kind of sonically, or where to put them, whether to have them on EPs, or, you know, what kind of where they went. For me, you know, a little bit of a kind of backstory into this album and into me is that I'm somebody who had a really kind of a traumatic upbringing. And ever since then, I've been trying my best to use music as a way to not become, you know, somebody who would go, you know, the same old kind of, you know, sad story or another statistic, which there's lots of not very nice statistics around people who grew up where I grew up and in situations that I grew up in. And so I've been using my music as a way to try and beat the odds and to try and show that you don't have to necessarily, you know, follow a route that you've been given, or, you know, something that's been nothing is predetermined, and that you can make your own journey. And so this album is something that's deeply personal to me, and the journey that I've been on for really a lifetime in the making. Production wise, the album came from is the meeting with Egg and this old school, you know, still my left field hip hop thing, but with an old school gospel and a soul sound that really came from Anything Could Happen. And yeah, and that's really how Anything Can Happen came about. And it's really just about, you know, the unpredictability of life, and no matter how tough things get, or no matter how lost you may feel, or, you know, you may think that you are, that, you know, there's always a kind of a brighter day, or always something that you don't expect, you know, around the corner. And that's something that I learned over the course of lockdown, as well as many people did learn. So that's Anything Could Happen, which is track 2.
I climbed out, and yeah, I got new, brand new. Got a change and it's all brand new. Well, yeah, I got new. On the sidewalk singing I knew. Yeah, it's alright. Both feet firm on the ground, alright. And yeah, it's alright. Got trouble and that's just fine. Along the water, I see my face, and who's looking back now? Don't get complacent. I hold my hands out, and through it all, sweeter hush, it never fails to come and come. Wake up today, anything could happen. And it might feel the same, but anything hush, it never fails to come and go. Wake up today, anything could happen. And it might feel the same, but anything can happen. Slap around your face, anything could happen. Oh yeah. Along the water, I see my face, and who's looking back now? Don't get complacent. I hold my hands out, and through it all, sweet or hush, it never fails to come and go. Wake up today, anything could happen. And it might feel the same, but anything can happen. Oh. Wake up today, anything could happen. You might win, get up and go again. And it might feel the same, but anything can happen. You might win, get up and start again. Slap around the face, anything could happen. You might win, get up and go again.
Twitter, @Cuéntame un disco. Facebook, @Cuéntame un disco.
The third track on the album is a track called Step On. Now, Step On is a track that was written in LA just before the lockdown happened. I was working with a really cool producer. It was somebody called Al Shucks. And it was my first ever time going to Los Angeles. And it was a bit of a crazy, I was kind of going there, you know, is an encapsulation of what that is and what that meant. It was really the first time I've been to downtown LA. That's where I was recording it. And it really felt like, you know, the flip side of what I'd seen and what I'd heard about LA. There was lots of homeless people there. You know, it had a more of a hustle bustly kind of city feel to it. You know, the downtown, it wasn't as glitzy and glamoury. And that really offered that flip side. And it really encapsulated the chaos of that trip was really what made that song. And it just had such a, like I say, a chaotic feel as well. And on a personal note, I have, you know, post-traumatic stress disorder. And that was something that as well, you know, added to this crazy feel of everything that was going on and the sounds and the lights. And it was all very, very bizarre and very, very crazy. And really Step On was a song of me, you know, just trying to hang on to myself and what I knew in a situation that I'd never been in an area I'd never been to, and where things were just seemingly going crazy. And so it was really just trying to hang on to whatever, you know, I had around me and trying to just put one foot in front of the other and focus on the present moment in a very chaotic situation. And that was Step On. Hey everybody, you're listening to Quantum and Disco, and this next song is Hang My Head. This song is probably one of the songs that feels the most in touch with the gospel side of things, and the most in touch with like the soul side of the album, I would say, or the leaning into that end of things. This song, was written in a time where I was kind of in a lower moment, and I was kind of like, I've gone over the high of getting all the songs together, and I hadn't yet gone to the high of finishing the album and handing it in. There was this low moment where I wasn't quite sure what to do. And, for me, that really is what the song is about, and how in those moments where you do feel a kind of that existential disappointment, you do come to a period of time where you do come to a crossroad where you have to decide whether, this disappointment you feel is going to change your character for, in a negative way, or whether you can use this to be able to say, this has happened, or, I haven't done myself justice there, or I haven't quite done that in the way I want it to do, but it's going to motivate me to set out to try and do better next time, or to try and be, a better person, or a better father, or a better boyfriend, a better, whatever it is. And that's really what this song was about, and what it means to me. That's Hang My Head.
In my kingdom, my head hold so tight, won't let me go. Is there really such a hole, or did they just tell me so? Hang my head, will leave my soul, the only road I've ever known. Down with the kicks, don't carry no load, where the angels live on the railway road. I said I hang my head, I said I hang my head, I said I hang my head, hang my head, I said I hang my head, I said I hang my head, oh I hang my head, but I've got to keep on moving, keep on moving, keep on moving. Those that have been a lot of days, I've got to keep on moving, keep on moving, keep on moving. Those a lot of days. For my wisdom, I got stones, fighting scars and broken bones. Out with the drifters, ain't no home. Close me up and let me go. If I only knew the words, time of best, or so I've heard. I've been bruised and I've been hurt. Bite my tongue, gotta get my turn. And I hang my head, I said I hang my head, I said I hang my head, hang my head, I said I hang my head, I said I hang my head, oh I hang my head, but I've got to keep on moving, keep on moving, keep on moving. Those that have been a lot of days, I've got to keep on moving, keep on moving, keep on moving. That was a lot of days. Still looking out ahead of me, tell me am I the enemy? Nothing this is as black as a shiny crack in my self-belief. If I could teach every single lesson I'd like to learn, practice what you preach isn't predicated on taking turns. Sit sober, just flipped over the hourglass. It could smash soul, looking like a sauerkraut. I see the lights still before me, a lower mouth. No one else, not a sound, back to throw the towel out. Keep on moving, keep on moving, keep on moving. Those that have been a lot of days, I've got to keep on moving, keep on moving, keep on moving. That was a lot of days. Oh, I hang my head, I said I hang my head, I said I hang my head, hang my head, I said I hang my head, I said I hang my head, oh I hang my head, but I keep on moving, keep on moving, keep on moving. Those that have been a lot of days, I've got to keep on moving, keep on moving, keep on moving. That was a lot of days.
Twitter, @Cuéntame un disco. Facebook, @Cuéntame un disco.
Next song, Yellow Brick Road. is the very, very first song that I wrote when I came down to do this for the first time. This was the one shot, the one opportunity that I had while I was still working in the bar. You know, and I talked about Dare to Dream earlier being like, early in the early days, one of the oldest. Yellow Brick Road is definitely up there too. This was the number one, the very first time that I've been to a studio. And I'm not trying to play it cool. I'm not trying to overly pander to the session. I'm not trying to go in there and write the next, Stevie Wonder Superstition or whatever. I'm not trying to be anything I'm not. Really, to be honest, the only thing I want to do in this situation is to go in that studio and really encapsulate how all of this makes me feel and turn that into a song. And that's what Yellow Brick Road was. And the kind of, obviously, the natural, metaphor or connotations of it is The Wizard of Oz. And that's very much, the vibe and, the Yellow Brick Road and everything else. And that's really, really where that song came from. But that's one of the earlier songs on the record.
Good morning, I need to feed your soul. Good morning, I need to let you go. All set and ready for the big world. Any kind of visuals, never really did curl. Yes, through the day they move. Any kind of story they just play, they groove. Yeah, are we gonna throw back? So you better think twice if you wanna talk trash now. Act you back to live when you ready for us. Maybe it was just yesterday that we had it all. Now it's gone and everybody's moved. Gotta face up to you and look at the truth now. And they say to make change that you can't just sit round and look that way. Cause they'll stay, I'll say. Petals in your necklace got me so in the zone. I'm feeling higher, trip the wild, baby, sound me alone. Hey, better stop your no shows and carry on it hello. Cause you got me burning round this yellow brick road. Hide your soul is better than before. Right before it lie, you would pitch him at the store. No real vision for where you were heading for. Cause face it, we ain't got this far. But how can you frown and let them all be? The only one's a team. Stop motion, everybody's ghost running. Who lows most, so better get roasted. Ooh, them but I can't see when the prize is off the lights and make them all please. Ooh, better than light than fear. Cause you know you got the best to see. Don't you stop and blame the also in you did. Ooh, and they say to make change that you can't just sit round and look that way. Cause they'll stay, I'll say. Petals in your necklace got me so in the zone. I'm feeling higher, trip the wild, baby, sound me alone. Hey, better stop the no shows and carry on it hello. Cause you got me burning round this yellow brick road. Hey, eyes the second that we laid eyes, felt the whole skipping beat exactly at the same time. So I just went with it, rolling on the next one, and everybody told me that I shouldn't really flex them. But then I tried to keep it cool on the low, but everybody was telling me that it wouldn't show. And then we found out where we were waiting before we went, and everybody could hear him even if you didn't get the petals in your necklace got me so in the zone. I'm feeling higher, trip the wild, baby, sound me alone. Hey, better stop the no shows and carry on it hello. Cause you got me burning round this yellow brick road. Petals in your necklace got me so in the zone. I'm feeling higher, trip the wild, baby, sound me alone. Hey, you got no shows and carry on it hello. Cause you got me burning round this yellow brick road.
Hey everybody, you're listening to Quantum and Disco, and this next song is called Family. This song is, wow, okay, this song was again later in the album, but this was really, I guess, it dug into a little bit more into me and my backstory and who I am, and a little more of like an idea of it. A lot of the vibe on this one, a lot of the vibe of the album was taking inspiration from old school 70s artists like Gil Scott-Heron, Sly and the Family Stone, Al Green, Bill Withers, all of these sorts of artists. And this family felt like a song very much in that camp. It really, I'm somebody that, this whole album, like I say, is an encapsulation of kind of who I am and my experiences and what it is I'm trying to achieve. And it really, in some ways, this whole album is my own, in a way, my own kind of redemption story, and in my own kind of mind, and my own narrative or whatever of what it is I'm trying to do. And Family is one of those tracks that kind of highlights that conflict and highlights that struggle sometimes. I'm somebody that for a lot of years growing up, I was fostered, I was adopted, I was kind of raised in the social system. And at times, I was having chopping and changing who my family were, who my mum was, who my dad was. It was a revolving door of complexities, and and there was a lot of times where I felt like I didn't have a home, I didn't have a family. And then as I began to grow up and really, bed myself and get really close friends and get, tight-knit relationships, those like lovely kind of fruitful, nourishing relationships that you have with people in your life, with your family, whether it's the family you were born into or the family you choose, just those nourishing relationships that you, kind of meander into. I began to realize that even your closest family, a part of inherently being family is that you are going to have disagreements. People are going to tell you things you don't want to hear. You're going to fall out. You're going to, the highs and the lows of being close to people and being exposed, being vulnerable. You're going to get that, and everybody experiences that. And that's something that, was in there too. And it really felt like a marriage of those two things, my own, personal relationships with many different families and many, kind of navigating through, a social system as a kid, and, finding a place to call my own, and also learning and experiencing the highs and lows of being part of a family, your real family, the people that you depend upon day in, day out, and the people that you're closest to. And that really, obviously over the course of lockdown, everybody's gotten to know their family so much. And obviously, everybody's been in close proximity. So I'm sure everybody can kind of relate to that in a sense. But that was family. And that's kind of how that is for me in what it, I guess the notes I was trying to hit on that one. Yeah.
For we were raised on compromise. So when did you and me start taking sides? Summer just gone, almost high as a kite. And I don't even know anymore what started this fight. I could make the town to save it, or climb on some high horse and break it. Oh, and getting family all wrong. It kills my mood and hurts you too, when none of us are getting on. I had my family until my family broke down. What right or wrong can keep us from hanging like we're hanging now? Feels like we're talking now. Sure, we can work it out.
Didn't I give your mind the place to rest? But
@Cuéntame un disco. Facebook, @Cuéntame un disco.
Okay, so the next song is a song called Molasses. The song of the album that I had totally produced, written and produced on my own, but also I did take some advice from and spend a couple of days kind of delving into this song with a guy from a really cool band called the Glass Animals. He's called Ed, and he's a bass player in the Glass Animals, but he's a phenomenal mixing engineer. He's a phenomenal, he programs my live show. He's just a phenomenal human being all around, to be honest. And he's somebody that really helped to show me the way with this song. I recorded it at his house when we were programming the live show. And yeah, Molasses is a song that is about how you sometimes expect things to be, or, you know, what you expect of yourself and the kind of plans that you make for yourself and the things that you tell yourself. And then sometimes how you can be in a position where you don't feel as confident as you usually do, you know, through the general ups and downs of life and all these plans and all these things that you said you were going to do. I'm going to win the lottery. You learn to speak Chinese. I'm going to do whatever, you know, these plans that you make yourself, or I'm going to, you know, new year, new me. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Or, you know, just those ambitious plans that you make for yourself when you're, you know, in a very good place of your self-esteem and when you're feeling good. And I guess ultimately it's a song about the price you can pay for overreaching sometimes within yourself, you know, when you know yourself and you know what you're capable of emotionally, or when you know what you're capable of in some areas. I know, a lot of people say aim for the stars and you'll be somewhere close. And I'm definitely somebody who aligns with that kind of thinking and philosophy. But sometimes, you know, not every idea that you have, or not every single thing that you reach for, you get close to, or that you still want to do, you know, months down the line, years down the line, and can create a conflict and, you know, something in yourself that feels a little bit dissonant. And that's very much how I felt at the moment. That's very much how I felt the song, you know, represented within me. And, you know, Molasses, you know, it's kind of just like a thickening agent used in baking. It's like treacle, and very much felt that way. I really took inspiration from that, and I really heard that and wanted to, you know, create something that had, you know, kind of based on just a lot of simple like clapping and layered vocals and sort of raw, sort of gospely tones to it, and a dirty grit, dirty kind of grittiness to it, and that's something that, you know, I really wanted to get in there, and something that I wanted to bed in there, and really have like a, you know, raw kind of yelpy kind of nasty, just a really primal sort of approach to writing the song. And that is really how, you know, the song came to be, you know, what it's about, and a little bit behind it, I would say.
Talk that talk, better walk that walk. Talk that talk, hey, better walk that walk. Talk that talk, oh, better walk that walk. Talk that talk, hey, better walk that walk. The glass now. Lock is missing, lock is stripping, drag 'em away. Little star-bound, alphas found, shepherds today. Hey, a loose sound, cannon sound, living only cortisone. Streaming, yes, I screaming, ills if demons had a horn to blow. Gotta get confused, just the side of you. I ain't the one who sold the dream. What am I supposed to do? Oh, just stop, drop, and tuck, roll. Leave aside a burning bowl. Water's in the dumb tank. Grab a boy, let's tear and hold. Talk that talk, oh, better walk that walk. Talk that talk, better walk that walk. The glass now. Talk that talk, better walk that walk. Talk that talk, better walk that walk. The glass now. Yeah, so you. I keep the genie in the bottle with a corkscrew. Next to the throne built of wrongs that I can't do. Hence why I'm mutually exclusive and touching water and jet. I'll consider a moment to pause laps when the music starts vibrating your car dash. Yeah, I'll admit I'm not perfect and no plans. If you care to try twisting my arm with the both hands. Now boo, just know what the cat went and dragged through. This sleep one side devoid of the blues. Dreaming of a lottery ticket to come through. Cause I'm not anybody's specialist.
The next song is a song called PTSD. This song is one of the songs where I delve a little bit into my own kind of personal, my own personal, I guess, problems in a way. I said earlier, I post-traumatic stress disorder, and this song was a way to try and express that. Sometimes I get really, so I can get really upset or really angry if, like, there's some of the things that I want to do, or some of the things that I expect that I should do, or that I should be able to do, like, go to certain places, or watch certain movies, or hear certain sounds, or, see certain people, and just be, kind of expect to be okay, and, for it not to kind of trigger me or upset me or anything like that, or, kind of disturb me. And it's something that I can get really frustrated that that's not the case. And I try my best to write this song to really encapsulate how being somebody with PTSD, how it was feeling, and how in my head, how things sounded, in my head, how things felt. And the song goes from high to low, totally flips and changes. And it's very, sounds very schizophrenic in a figure of speech. And it's very all over the place and very chaotic. And that's very much, to me, a representation of having an episode when, you have PTSD, having flashbacks, or, having kind of episodes when you're having that, or when you've been triggered. And that's very much, this song was me trying to encapsulate how that feels, because I think a lot of people, when they kind of hear my music, or when they hear me speak, probably now, to be honest, talking through the songs in the way that we have, but, I think a lot of things that, people tend to say to me is, oh, how are you so happy, Dale? How you're like you're like sunshine, or, you're really positive. And I kind of get it, but also I do think that, I try my best to not try to represent, or to not try and convey an unrealistic idea of happiness that I believe, to be the case. Because I think that if you only see one side of people, or I think that if you only see the happy things and you only talk about the happy things, and I try my best to try and be positive and be optimistic and be hopeful, hence obviously the album and my story and what I'm about. But from the perspective of somebody that's been in some real dark places, and has been on a journey that hasn't been smooth sailing, because as lots of people know, and as people know, as in life, things don't always go to plan, things aren't always as they seem, and it's never, rarely ever, plain sailing, or only one direction, which is up. So that's very much what PTSD is a representation to me, and what the song is about.
Kinda decided that ain't no chosen path. In this life you write fiction, ain't a stranger's fact. Alive and walk a past, looking like a maniac. In a solar system like a jerk on paperback. Yo, hold there, stop, who goes? This is not your time, let me rock these shows. Shades in the cone, keep the trap door closed, cause I know on the other side there's a black hole. Tell me there's a world where we can understand it both ways. I don't know this time, yeah, I don't know. Inside your arms once more, seeing things that used to be beyond control. Won't you let me go? Won't you leave me? Let it go. Won't you leave me? You deserve a happiness forevermore. Figures in a picture of a light ashore. Won't you let me go? Won't you leave me? Let me go. I'll be back for the weekend. A smile is a beacon, eyes are the sequin. Glitter is in gold if I keep the sauce. Wait, peeking round the corner for a nosedive. Ruin Game of Thrones, DB Wise, that was those guys. Click, click, change the channel back. This is my life, who has mind lines. This is whack with the hindsight.
Estás escuchando Cuéntame un disco.
Wake up in the morning, I'm alive. feeling love from the people in my life. I'd be singing in the shower like a bride from a rom-com that just found Mr. Right. Oh, I'm skipping down the street as I arrive, my imagination carrying me on a vibe as I'm dancing by the brightest side with nothing left to care. I gotta go, I gotta leave, 'cause you won't hold me with old memories. I gotta go, PTSD, 'cause you won't hold me with old memories.
Twitter, @Cuéntame un disco. Facebook, @Cuéntame un disco.
The next song, Houdini, is very much the dopamine of the album. It's very much the adrenaline. It's very much the pleasure center. It's very much the Houdini. It in its name implies, this song is really about escapism, and also the lengths that sometimes you go to kind of, I don't know, tell you. I kind of felt like when I was in this mode and when I was writing this song, I was reflecting on the experience, and I was reflecting on when I was getting myself in sticky situations and be like, oh, why was I doing that? Or, I know that that's the problem. Why was I doing that? And, this behavior or that thing, I'm somebody that's, troubled in the past. And it's something that, I felt like I was putting myself into a lot of situations, or situations that I knew were detrimental emotionally or physically. And I kind of felt like there was something in me that always felt like I could pull it off, or always felt like, oh, it's okay, I'll be fine. And that's where Houdini comes in, because I think that there's a lot of time where you can convince yourself or justify, making a decision which is going to have repercussions, or which is going to have consequences, but you justify it in a way that you always assume that you are clever enough, or that you are brave enough, or that you are good enough, or that you're whatever enough to be able to get yourself out of those situations. And obviously in life in general, you only have so many chances. Cats have 9 lives and the rest of it, and I kind of feel like that way of thinking that I've been in, and I guess that, everybody has, that temptation to kind of throw caution to the wind and indulge in kind of, behaviors or take actions, or, be reckless, I guess, in a way that you feel like you can always come back from, or you're always going to somehow pull around. And that really is Houdini. That is it, for me, what it's about. Obviously Houdini, the great escape artist, and that's what it was. And it was really about being able to put yourself into a box, or being able to put yourself into a dark place, always assuming that you're going to be able to climb out, which obviously anybody knows that not everybody is as lucky or as fortunate to be able to always come back from something. And the best thing I try myself to do now is to conquer my own emotional feelings and regulation, try my best to, as opposed to just throw myself into a situation hoping I'm going to get myself out of it, try my best to learn from it, and to make sure that I can kind of choose when I want to and when I don't want to unnecessarily take on kind of emotional burdens. I would say, and that's I would say Houdini, like I say, is the climax and the pinnacle of, I guess, the dark or the shadow of the album. Yeah, that's that moment, I would say.
Walking down the avenue, killing time on Whitney Avenue. Idle hands, open doors, my beloved Whitney calls. Finding weakness now, ain't that the truth? I got a hand on my shoulder now. I feel a hand on my shoulder now, saying take what you want, 'cause it's free until it's gone. Don't just watching me all over town. I'll be dancing in the town tonight. All the lights and the signs, angels dancing in a line. Don't need saving, all I need is time. Am I wrong? Am I right? Why not shut your mouth and drink the wine? I put my wings in a bag on the side. I leave my life at the door tonight. Don't roll me in, I'm playing devils and dice. Houdini, believe me, the feeling too easy. Houdini won't see me now. Am I right?
Estás escuchando Cuéntame un disco.
Houdini, believe me, the feeling too easy. Houdini won't see me now. Put my wings in a bag on the side. I leave my life at the door tonight. Don't roll me in, I'm playing devils and dice. Houdini, believe me, the feeling too easy. Houdini won't see me now. Wings in a bag on the side. I leave my life.
Hey everybody, you're listening to Quantum and Disco, and this next song is Brown Bread. And then this is the song where it's kind of like all that stuff goes away when the dust settles, when all the smoke and mirrors go away. You know, it's kind of like I told you, Mum, I'ma be okay, or whatever. You know, the lyric is in the chorus. It's really about going back to basics, going back to your roots, remembering who you are, and really, you know, taking nourishment and reassurance from what you know about yourself and what the people around you know about you. And no matter how difficult things get, or no matter how crazy things get, which, you know, they can get real crazy, everybody knows this, even when you're not feeling so great, to be able to make a step in the right direction, and that is what brown bread is. And that's really how that song came together, and what it was about, and what it means to me. And writing it, I think my car actually broke down when I wrote this. I was driving around in my mum's kind of minivan type thing, and I put about 30,000 miles on the clock. I was over like the legal weight limits with the car, with having all the, you know, my band in and the gear and stuff. And I just outright refused to pay for, you know, expensive hotels and, you know, hiring cars and stuff, because I just believed that, you know, we just didn't have the money, and we needed all the money we could to get the best opportunities possible to pay to go to gigs and things. And we slept on floors, you know, we drove around it, like I said, my mum's minivan, which, you know, ultimately broke the day that I wrote this song. You know, I went to Manchester to write this song in a session, and the car broke down on the way home. But, you know, this song is really about that perspective, where on the flip side to a lot of some of the previous songs that we've just spoken about, this song is about when you're in that perspective, and when you're in that zone where no matter what happens, you can take it with a pinch of salt, and you can be okay, and you can feel okay, and just, you know, holding on to those things. I would say that's what Brown Bread is about.
Going steady on the one-way train, looking heavy at the window pane. The rain falling like a big old drain, but I told you, mama, I'ma be okay. See, I'm a big boy now, and I've let you down. No, if you can see me now, like monkey see, yeah, monkey doing. Lord knows I feel low, I got to live life. Told you, mama, I'll be okay. Don't look down, that's that way. See, I gotta seize the day, 'cause I told you, mama, I'll be okay. I said, don't look down,
Cuéntame un disco.
Better smile a lot when I'm around a few friends feeling warmer than a ramen soup. But when the party's over, all that's left to bear is a tear in the residual atmosphere. Yo, scream at the sky, yelling a ride. I'll be slurring my words like DLY. A stranger reacts, yo, we you that guy? Hey, high five, celebrating being alive. How could I be wrong? Why couldn't I see? Alone in my dream. Oh, mama, tell me, how could I be wrong? Why couldn't I see? Alone in my dreams. Yeah, mama told me, don't look down, messed that way. See, I gotta seize the day, 'cause I told you, mama, I would be okay. I said, don't look down, I said, messed that way. See, I gotta seize the day, 'cause I told you, mama, I would be okay. Don't look down, don't look down, don't look down. Told you, mama, I would be okay. Don't look down, don't look down, don't look down. Told you, mama, I would be okay. Don't look down, messed that way. See, I gotta seize the day, 'cause I told you, mama, I would be okay. I said, don't look down, I said, mess that way. See, I gotta seize the day, 'cause I told you, mama, I would be okay. Don't look down, mess that way. See, I gotta seize the day, 'cause I told you, mama, I would be okay. I said, don't look down, I said, mess that way. See, I gotta seize the day, 'cause I told you, mama, I would be okay. Don't look down, mess that way. See, I gotta seize the day, told you, mama, I would be okay. I said, don't look down, mess that way. See, I gotta seize the day, told you, mama, I would be okay. Don't look down, mess that way. See, I gotta seize the day, told you, mama, I would be okay. I said, don't look down, mess that way. See, I gotta seize the day, told you, mama, I would be okay.
Twitter, @Cuéntame un disco. Facebook, @Cuéntame un disco.
Yo, what's poppin'? This is Dylan, and you're listening to Quantum in Disco. Thank you very much for having me so far. Thank you very much for listening. If you're still around, thank you. My name is Cartlidge. I'm an alternative hip hop act. This is me going track by track through my album, Hope Above Adversity. And we are almost at the climax. We're almost at the finish. This song is called Cheerleader. This is now, we've gone from, those, dizzy heights to, the disastrous lows. And then this is sort of like finding yourself again and really the end of that redemption story and landing somewhere in the middle. We'll get into the end of that road and, really learn something or experience something. And Cheerleader, is that eventual gradual ride out of, Houdini, which is that, that dark place, to PTSD, the uncertainty and craziness, to brown bread, just hanging on to what your mum told you, the nourishment. And then, Cheerleader, this is the kind of little bit more getting back up on that horse. This is that self-esteem. This is that kind of feeling yourself, you got your mojo back. This is that song. This is, this is kind of like, this is, that Lizzo, I do my hair toss, check my nails, this is that, this is that Andre 3000, you shake it like a Polaroid picture. This is that everybody has an equivalent to what this song is, which is really when you're on top form, you're feeling yourself and you just decided and you've just realized, or you might have forgotten, but you've just remembered that you don't really give a damn about what anybody else thinks about you. And you are going to take what you know about yourself. You're going to take what you've learned about yourself. And no matter what society says you should be, or what you should look like, or who you should be, you're going to feel yourself. You're going to groove. You're going to be your own cheerleader. You're going to root for yourself. And that's what you're going to do. And it really ties in with that. And the theme, I'm a movie buff. I love movies. And I really love the way that Hollywood kind of depicts coming of age movies, like your Superbads, your Easy A's, your Breakfast Clubs, whatever it might be. I just love the way that Hollywood kind of makes growing up Luke, kind of makes high school Luke particularly, the jocks, the geeks, the cheerleaders, the whole, everybody knows high school and that period of life. Your teenage years are a total car crash, it's pimples and hormones, it's crazy, it's a ride, it's fun, it's wild. And I think that the way that Hollywood kind of makes that out to be and paints it out to be, it's such an amazing experience. It's lovely to watch. I connect with it on a romantic level. And this song was really about that, and how you don't necessarily need to look a certain way to fit in, and I guess growing up in a lot of ways. I'd say that's what Cheerleader kind of is, and that's the track by track on that.
See, now I think today is gonna be one of those days where I don't miss my alarm and no drama is in the way, cause I've been crossing fingers, toes alive, with my lips like frozen tight, adamantly refusing to curse the day ahead of time. Previously I've been prone to stick tone and forget that tomorrow's just another day and it ain't happened yet. So I'ma take my keys and find out, without doubt circulating round in my mouth. It just make me not wanna leave the house. But see, this time I just kick a smile and bounce like, oh yeah, believe me, we don't need no reason. Oh, it's shaking like a cheerleader. Oh, believe me, we don't need no reason. When we're in a ride season, shaking like a cheerleader. Oh, believe me, we don't need no reason. When we get down, shaking like a cheerleader. Oh, believe me, we don't need no reason. When we're in a ride season, shaking like a cheerleader. Don't I see a valuable lesson? There's something you want to invest in, with no earlier influence and no prior suggestions. See, now poses my next question, yo, do you believe in jesting? Cause I can speak a giant heat when South Eruptors pressing, yo. Close my eyes and there it is, stood atop the pyramid. These worries and these fears in the jar, still without the lid. And receive no slip from me, cause all of this is new, you see. Since letting those ifs and buts drift along the road of what used to be. Oh yeah,
Estás escuchando Cuéntame un disco.
Say what your mama gave you, girl. Say what your mama gave you, girl. All those flags and signs that I wore never gave me scope or feel the roof fall. Yeah, you got game inside of your drawer, and we're all keeping score. Oh yeah, believe me, that ain't no reason. Oh, it's shaking like a cheerleader.
Twitter, @Cuéntame un disco. Facebook, @Cuéntame un disco.
Okay, the last song on the album is Monsters Under the Bed. This song is the emotional release of the album. This is everything in mind before the whole story. This is the closing chapter on this story. This is the closing chapter on really this part of my life. This everything, the struggle from everything that's been, everything that went on as a kid to, trying to look out for my brother, who was, I kind of raised my brother in a household where, we didn't really have a family, and it was a really tough situation. And this is the me kind of taking everything that I'd held onto, and me taking everything that I carried from that, being that kid that was 13 years old and not knowing whether I wanted to kind of be here or whether I wanted to kind of be alive anymore, in truth, and really taking that situation and taking those odds and carrying my hope on my back and carrying, what felt like the world on my back at that stage, and right up to where I am now, to where I'm releasing it. And, really, I guess, blowing away those, turning the lights on, exposing those, turning those monsters under the bed. In a way, this song is the monsters under the bed. So, when you're a kid and your parents come in and turn the light on, and when you're scared and tell you everything's going to be all right, this is what I did to myself, because I didn't have that, and this is me turning the light on my, on me, on who I am, my past, and really, taking aim at, people in my life who have hurt me, people in my life who, abused me, who have let me down, and who have really, I guess, tried to set my life on a course that was not a great course, or tried to transfer a lot of pain onto me, a lot of hate onto me. And really, this is about choosing love over everything else, choosing hope over everything else, and choosing to expel and choosing to let go of, a lot of those demons and a lot of those worries and a lot of those things that you hold on to so tightly, because you don't want to let them go, because you think, who am I if I'm not holding on to these things? And really, this song is about that. This song is about getting through this whole jungle of this album, getting through this whole jungle of life, clutching on the things that you hold so deeply onto, and ultimately letting the things go that you need to let go, so that you can live the best life possible, and so that you can not have to hold other people's things. And this song is really that moment of the album where you do turn the light on, you open the door, you shed light on the situation, and you accept the things that you can control, and you try your best not to think about the things that you can't. And that is Monsters Under the Bed.
I think I saw it creeping from the back of the room. Disguised with similar surprises with the rest of the ghouls, moving in silhouettes, holy water sworn to the cross. I think I'm gonna turn around and finally pull the mask off. Oh, and you won't hurt nobody, cause I'm not scared of you. I'll exercise the fear about it every time I hear about it. And you may think I'm still the same. Dead silence in the plot, no, not today. Got to turn on the lights, monsters under the bed. Don't you dare let them hide, monsters under the bed. Got to turn on the lights, monsters under the bed. Don't you dare let them hide, monsters under the bed. Still feeding in the present, oh yeah, who would've knew? Just like a tale from the crypt in 1972. You're moving fast, howling at me from the full moon. So I'll be sitting still with silver grills and pedigree shoes. Ooh, and you won't hurt nobody, cause I'm not scared of you. I'll exercise the fear about it every time I hear about it. And you may think I'm still the same. Dead silence in the plot, no, not today. Got to turn on the lights, monsters under the bed.
Estás escuchando Cuéntame un disco.
And that's me. That's me, Dylan Cartlidge. You can find me on all different social media, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all of those things. And this is my album, Hope Above Adversity. I hope you're enjoying it. Thank you very much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for all the support over on the podcast. Thank you so much. And it's been an absolute pleasure to be here. And I cannot thank you enough. If you made it to the end, well done. You deserve a medal. You deserve a sticker. And I hope to see you all soon. Stay safe. And yeah, if I come around, come and see a show, go and get yourself the album. I love you guys. Take care.
Esto fue Cuéntame un disco. Un disco completo, de la A a la B. Toda la historia, canción por canción, de principio a fin. Cuéntame un disco. Un programa producido por Carlos Andrade. Voz en off, Vicente Solís.
This is the finish of Quantum and Disco. Thank you very much. Goodbye.